Hello and the warmest of welcomes to this new episode of Ram Reviews. I'm your humble host, Miles Mason, and in this week's exciting episode, we're taking a look at one of my favourite eyes around right now, and that's this man right here. Zoop. Kamasi Washington and his phenomenal 2015 album, The Epic. So, let's get straight into the review. The now legendary Kamasi Washington was born out of Los Angeles, California, and from a young age he gained a real affinity for music thanks to the influence of his father and now bandmate Ricky Washington, a legend in his own right whose influence would lead Kamasi into the world of jazz music and would allow him to follow his destiny as Kamasi would go on to study ethnomusicology at UCLA. Word for Google. Ethnomusicology. Ethnomusicology is a study of music from the cultural and social standpoints of those who make it. Kamasi's time at UCLA would give him the opportunity to jam and collaborate with a lot of other musicians and faculty members, ultimately working on a project called the Young Giants of Jazz in 2004. Now, this phenomenal experience would inspire, motivate, and open doors for Kamasi to work with a number of absolute jazz legends. We're talking George Duke, we're talking Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, and all of these opportunities would help form the musician that Kamasi Washington would become. As well as getting the opportunity to play with all these jazz idols, he also began a fantastically interesting career playing and collaborating with a myriad of different artists from Snoop Dogg to Lauryn Hill, even Nas, all leading up to his extensive collaboration on the project To Pimp a Butterfly by the one and only King Kendrick Lamar. Now, all of this would keep him inspired and motivated to work on his own project. And with the help of his friends, the West Coast Get Down, as well as Flying Lotus and his record label, Brainfeeder Records, he would get the opportunity to put out this masterpiece we all know now as The Epic. The Epic is a 3-hour tour de force, a beautiful tapestry that explores a really interesting and compelling narrative through Kamasi's maximalist approach to songwriting. Now, this story was inspired by a reoccurring dream of Kamasi's, and he is currently working that into a graphic novel of some sort, something I cannot wait to read when it's out. But for now, I have a little excerpt that came with the vinyl that I'm going to give a little reading for you guys right now. The guard for hundreds of years has stood a watch over the gate atop the great mountain. With no family or friends apart from his armour and spear, his only purpose in life was to protect the gate. Numbers of warriors have come to challenge the guard, yet none have succeeded. Far below the gate, in the shadows of the great mountain, lies a village built by the master teachers for young warriors who train every day in hopes of one day challenging the guard to take his place as a protector of the gate. This is their destiny and their sole endeavour as people of that sacred village. Pretty unique existence right there. So for me, I feel this narrative so superbly supports this album and the concept of it and what it would mean to the world when it was introduced. As in 2015, I feel that was a real turning point for music and culture as we started to move forward with new genres, really kind of taking over the mainstream. As we know, hip-hop has become the most respected genre around right now, the most interesting genre certainly, and I feel that 2015 and this album had a big thing to do with that for me, whether it's in some sort of spiritual sense or something. I just felt it represented a turn towards a new age of music and musicians and, a changing of the guard, if you will. Whilst we're talking about music and musicians, we of course have to discuss the band that helped bring this phenomenal album to life, and that is of course the West Coast Get Down. Made up of members such as Thundercat, someone I'm sure you're all too familiar with. He's a phenomenal solo artist with a really great album that came out this year called Drunk. I have a review of that on my channel somewhere way back as well if you are interested. But he played electric bass. We've also got Miles Mosley on acoustic bass, a member I'm sure has been with Kamasi for a long time. In fact, I think all these musicians have. We've also also got Tony Ronald Bruner Jr. on drums, as well as Tony Austin on drums, and these guys are such remarkable drummers, and it's so refreshing to hear two drummers work so well in tandem. It's quite a relatively new approach, I would say, but something we're seeing a lot more of with groups like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. It's just a really refreshing approach, and having seen these guys live, they work so phenomenally in tandem, adding so much to the texture and the character of the music. We've also got Leon Mobley on percussion. The percussion on this album really just adds so much soul and so much liveliness to it. We've also got Cameron Graves on piano, who is like such a phenomenal pianist. I mean, he will be remembered as an idol, I'm sure. We've got Brendan Coleman on keyboard, who adds like a real kind of a bit more funk and a bit more kind of, you know, electric kind of sound to it with his keyboard approach, and it brings so much neo soul kind of vibe to it, and that's why I love about his contribution here. We've got Ryan Porter on trumpet, Emar Thomas on trumpet, we've got Patrice Quinn and Dwight Treble on lead vocals, and these are such all of these guys are just so phenomenal at their craft. They're real craftsmen, and it's a really beautiful thing to see. In fact, there's something I want you guys to check out. I can only show a really quick clip of this because I don't want to get a old slap on the wrist from YouTube copyright, which I'm all too familiar with by this point. But this is a really great video, and I'll leave it linked for you down in the description. It's just a performance of the song Rerun Home, and again, I'll leave it in the description, but I'll just play you a little sample for the time being. That's Patrice Quinn, and she has the most remarkable voice, man. It's so beautiful. I honestly, whenever I watch this video, I just can't help but think these are some of the best musicians alive right now. So definitely check that out. But that'll have to do for now. I don't want to get the old copyright. Take down your video. So one of my favourite moments from this album has to, of course, be the opening song, A Change of the Guard. This song is one that I'm sure you're all too familiar with if you have checked out this album at all, because it's just got such a bombastic, recognisable feel to it, and it's such an epic piece. It really sums up the album title perfectly with that epic quality that it holds. And the thing I love about this song is how it leads the listener into a real hypnotic, transcendental-like state. That's something that I always love jazz music for, the ability to put you into a meditative state, you might even say. And this song does it phenomenally with the use of the quiet in the background. It gives you like a real divine feeling with the use of that choir, as well as the constant change in the harmony and the melody, and how it kind of leads you down the rabbit hole of this song. And just a beautiful moment I just wanted to touch on from this album. So in terms of the makeup of this album, as I mentioned earlier, it's quite a hefty project at a runtime of around 173 minutes, and that's almost the length of the first Lord of the Rings film. So I feel that kind of has a tendency to kind of maybe turn a few people off and intimidate a few people from getting into this project and truly sinking into it. And for me, I feel that is a true travesty, because this is one of those projects that you're not supposed to listen to all in one go. You're not supposed to just, okay, done, put aside. This is an album that you grow with. This is the kind of project where you slowly explore. Start by dipping in your toes. That's what I did. I just found a few songs that I liked and kind of added them into my regular listening. And then it wasn't until I actually got it on vinyl that I started to explore it a little bit more extensively. I mean, I'm yet to even listen to this album the full way through. I'm kind of saving it for a nice rainy day or something like that, because I just feel it'll be all the more special when I give it a full listen through. You know, having kind of saved it and having kind of gotten to know the album prior. But a great way of listening to this album, if you do want to explore it a little bit more extensively but don't want to commit 3 hours of your life, a really great way of listening to it is listening to how it's broke down on the vinyls. So essentially it's broke down into Volume 1, The Plan, which is kind of a more bombastic side to the album. It has a bit more of the epic kind of ballads. So if you're looking for like real musicality and stuff like that, this might be the side for you. It has like Changing of the Guard, which again is that really epic song I mentioned earlier. Isabella, Ask The Next Step, really great side, a really great start to the project. The second one, which is my favorite, my personal favorite, is Volume 2, The Glorious Tale, which is a beautiful name. We've got The Rhythm Changes, which is something special. We've got Rerun, Misunderstanding, and Cherokee. Just great songs on this side, a bit more melody driven and kind of songs that you could kind of say are a bit more mass appeal in terms of their palette. And Volume 3, we have The Historic Repetition, which is, I would say, more of a story-driven side of the album. Certainly more, like, contemplative side of the album, if that's what you're looking for from your music. And that has like the Magnificent Seven, Rerun Home, which is the song I mentioned earlier, which is just a really epic jazz ballad, Malcolm's Theme, which is it's a really beautiful song. It's poetry. It really is poetry that explores the life of Malcolm X, and kind of singing his story. It's really beautiful. Patrice does such a phenomenal job on this song, and it really is one of the most characterful moments in the album. And then we've got Clair de Lune, which is a cover of a song that I'm sure you're all too familiar with. Even if you don't recognize the name, I mean, give it a Google. Clair de Lune. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. But it's just a really beautiful rendition of that song. It's a lot more soulful, and it has a bit more energy to it, and it's just a really great rendition for a modern age. But yeah, so just coming back to that, I just wanted to kind of go back over the fact that this is not the kind of album that you just listen to and kind of move on, or, you listen to it offhand. This is a project to be studied, you know what I mean? This is a really important piece of music, in my opinion. And it's not something to be kind of scared away by. Embrace it and let it love you over time, you know what I mean? So to kind of start wrapping up this video, I just want to talk about a few of my kind of personal highlights from this album. But I would love to know yours. So let me know down in the comment section, because I really want this channel to be about discussion and about a conversation about music. So let me know what your favourite songs are. For me, it has to be the song that I played a little bit earlier as one of my favourites, Rerun Home. It just has just the most amazing performances from it. I particularly love Cameron Gray's piano performances, as I mentioned earlier. They're just something special, and it's really enlightening to see the quality of these musicians. Another song that is, a real standout for me is Cherokee. I just love this song for Patrice's performance, as well as the funky kind of vibe that certainly Brandon Coleman gives the song. It's just a lot more kind of a bit more of an upbeat kind of song. It's a really great one to play. It's great to play for parties and stuff like that, man. It's a really fun song, so give that one a check out if you've not. And last but certainly not least, I believe my favorite song from this album, it just has to be The Rhythm Changes. As I mentioned earlier, this song is really something special. It's a beautiful song that explores how through life, through the ups and downs, through the difficulties, there is always a light that shines from within. And even if at times it can seem that the light is dull, the light is always there. And, some people might call that light God. Some people might call that light their core self, but whatever it is, we all have that thing that is here, you know what I mean, and always will be there to our last moment. And I believe it's a really beautiful song to reflect on with that. And it's just a really sublime song. Give that one a play. I can't play it now. I really wish I could dial it up and give it a play for you guys now, but I don't want to get striked. So do me a favor and just listen to the song once this video is finished. Thank you. So now for my final thoughts on this album. Honestly, I will never have my final thoughts on this album. This will always be an album that I'm continuously exploring and continuously growing with. I feel like I'll make more videos about it down the line, because it's just such an interesting album to discuss, and I think it's one that needs to be kind of studied and remembered, because it is, I feel, really a significant and important album. Kamasi Washington and his amazing collaborators really brought something special to life with this album. Not only just with the music that they gave us, but with the changes that they've made with culture. I mean, we can look forward to seeing a number of really great jazz artists who are coming out who have been inspired by this movement, this new movement in music. And I think that's just such a beautiful thing that not only is he giving us this remarkable music, but he's continuing on a really storied culture and a really storied musical movement. So, to be honest, all I can really say when it comes to my final thoughts about this album is that I'm incredibly grateful for the beautiful music that we have here, and the gift that music is. So I do really hope you enjoyed this video. I've been really excited to talk about this album for a long time, since I started this channel, but it's one of them albums that, as I was saying earlier, kind of is a little bit intimidating, especially when it comes to making a video reviewing it, because there is so much depth to it, and there's so many intangible feelings that you get from listening to this kind of music that you really can't necessarily do justice with words. So I do hope this video has inspired anyone out there who's not super familiar with the album to kind of give it a bit more of attention and a bit more loving. If you are interested in hearing some Kamasi work, I actually am putting together a little playlist for this week's episode of Rambling Reviews that I'll link for you down in the description. Go over and follow me on Spotify. I've got tons of really interesting playlists over there, a lot of different ranges of music, and I'm going to be making a new playlist for each video. And that video is just gonna, like this week's Spotify playlist, for example, is just gonna have a couple of songs from this album, a couple of songs from Kamasi's newest album, Harmony and Defiance, which is a phenomenal album, by the way, that I can't wait to get to as well. But again, it just needs a little bit of time to digest. But yeah, a couple of songs from that, and then a couple of extra numbers that I think you guys will like, especially if you're into this kind of music. So do go and check that out. The link is in the description. And before I go, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you guys for being here. This has been a really long journey with this channel, and I'm really excited for what happens next. I've been working on a lot of different projects, and I'm looking to bring a lot of different content to this channel, not just reviews. So I'm really excited for that, and I hope you guys can be too. So if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that. And also check me out on Instagram. I love Instagram. It's such a fantastic social network. I'm not interested in Facebook and all this kind of stuff, but I try to post interesting stuff on my Instagram, so do check that out. It's a great place to kind of keep up to date with the channel and what I'm up to. But other than that, thank you ever so much for checking out this week's episode of Rambling Reviews. It was a real pleasure, and I'll see you in the next one.